All right, so in this video, I wanted to talk about the talents for the hunter. So for the first level of talents, your options are going to be wild hunt or large prey. So wild hunt, how it works is killing a boss or a mini boss gets you a trophy and summons a boar to your opponent's field. Each trophy increases the boar's health by 4%, and then there's an 8% chance of summoning a boar anytime the hunter kills a monster. This doesn't apply in co-op and single player mode. So that's just a quick start off right there. If you're playing in co-op, you're never going to want to use Wild Hunt. So just make sure if you have the hunter in your deck, you're going to play a co-op mode, make sure you swap this to large prey regardless of what your preference is, just because large prey actually is useful. The Wild Hunt thing doesn't do anything for the co-op mode. And then for the other option, large prey, when the hunter kills a monster or a mini boss, or there's a 5% chance when he kills a common monster, a trophy's earned, increases the unit damage by 4%. The damage bonus after 60 trophies is reduced per trophy. And then there's a 7% chance under attack of firing an acorn at a random target and inflicting increased damage. So realistically, this one's a lot more just dealing with if you're trying to just rush your opponent and swarm them, just because you're any time when you kill the boss or mini boss or just killing regular units, if you're using a lot of hunters, it can be helpful just because you're just trying to keep summoning boars and rush the enemy. Again, if you're in co-op mode, this is useless, but the large prey is really a lot more just offensive minded. If your primary goal is to last longer in the match and just try and make it to that late game, maybe you have a deck that scales pretty good late game, that's when you want to use this large prey, just because you're prioritizing just damage overall. You want your units to deal more damage so you can survive and last to that late game. Out of the second tier options, we have poaching and sudden shot. So poaching, how it works is the hunter moves to the next target every 15 shots. And so this is just because every 15 shots, the hunter will just reset and just move to the next target. This can be nice, especially if you're fighting just tankier enemies and you don't want your hunters just wasting their time attacking a certain enemy that they're not going to be able to deal any damage to. So the poaching ability does allow them to just switch that shot and just attack a different enemy. It is kind of situational that way. There are only certain instances that's really any help. The other one is sudden shot, has a 50% chance to also deal 150% more damage with the first shot. This is kind of my preference just because it helps you deal more damage. It's a 50% chance to occur, so it is pretty common. So it won't really do anything for when you're encountering a boss, but especially when you're trying to clear waves, it can be very helpful. As far as your third tier, your card level 11 talents, we have buckshot. So hunters at merge rank 3 or higher deal 50% damage in a small radius around the target. So essentially turning any hunters at merge rank 3 or higher into a little AoE kind of deal. So that's helpful for clearing waves. Doesn't really do you any good for if you're just trying to deal a lot of damage to bosses, but it does help their wave clear quite a bit. Keen Eye, so hunters at merge rank 3 or higher get an additional 10% critical damage chance. This is going to be more focused for just defeating bosses, trying to defeat tankier enemies in general. So this does just kind of depend on what other kind of units you have in your deck. If you have stuff that can do AoE damage, chain damage, kind of help you mitigate that first unit just coming down the line, the buckshot isn't really as effective because that kind of helps you just with wave clear and the AoE. So if you already have something that can do that, then utilize the Keen Eye, and that's vice versa. If you don't have anything in your deck that can do AoE, wave clear, then you're going to want to stick with buckshot just because you just kind of got to balance your deck there. But the keen eye is definitely very helpful with that additional critical damage chance, which your critical damage does scale along just with all the cards as you upgrade. So this will get more powerful later on, but it is primarily just helpful for bosses as well as just tank your enemies in general. The final talent, the level 15 card talent, is Wild Hunt. So killing a boss or a mini boss has a 20% chance of increasing the merge rank of one hunter. I mean, it is a 20% chance, so you're relying a bit on whether it will proc or not, but it can be helpful, just especially if you're expecting in that late game when you're fighting lots of mini bosses just mixed in with the wave. It can just help because it does give a nice bonus when you can get a further merge rank without risking having to get rid of your hunters. And then just as you see, when you get the higher and higher merge rank, that attack interval increase does get helpful. It does fall off a little, but to be able to increase the merge rank without really losing any power, you're just boosting your unit's merge rank. That can be nice. But thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions.